So where we last left off, we used the quick rig to automatically rig our character, which is great, but there are a couple extra problems with quick rig and auto rigging a character like this. Even if we're doing it step by step, it doesn't give us as much control as we could possibly want. In this case, it worked out pretty well because we have all the necessary body parts rigged out. But if you think about it, if we had a character who had, let's just say, fingers or toes or tails or anything like that, this wouldn't really work out because we have no controls for the fingers. And we could build them manually and then reattach them to the quick rig, but it is a lot of work. So what we're going to do today is we're going to use what's called the Human IK. So before we start that, I'm just going to delete all of this stuff just to make sure I'm just deleting everything. Alright. So to create what's called a Human IK, we just go to Skeleton and Human IK. So what it does is, let me actually move our character away for now. Oh, it doesn't want to show up. Let's do that. There we go. So what this is right here is a Human IK. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scale them down so it actually fits. So the difference between the quick rig and the Human IK is the quick rig does a lot of the work for you when it comes to preparing your character. The Human IK sets us up for the character, but gives a little more flexibility with what we're having included. So in this case, if we look at the Human IK, we even have everything down to fingers, things like that. So the way a Human IK works is it creates this default character skeleton like this, and we would go into our Human IK attributes over here, and we have a lot of different information right with it. So we have the skeleton, which is information about the skeleton. So in this case, we have things like roll bones, scale, finger bones, toe bones, all that stuff. It's in this section that we could edit how many joints we have in certain parts of our body. So like, let's just say I don't have a pinky, for example. I click there, let me reselect it so you can see it got rid of my pinky. So we can even add extra fingers if we want, though it doesn't always work, it seems. So let's get rid of that. We could add, change the number of joints in the finger bones themselves. So if I change this to 2, it'll get rid of a joint. If I change this to 4, it'll add a joint. Oh, actually, it'll go only up to 3. We have in-hand bones, finger base, things like that. Don't really need to work with those that much. Same thing goes for toes. So if I wanted to, I could create my toes, which it's doing. The only reason it's coming out like that is because I scaled it beforehand, which I probably shouldn't have done before going over all this, but that's okay. Basically what it's doing is it's just adding toes to it. So for demonstration purposes, let's just say we have this. What you would do is you'd essentially modify this character to have as many bones as you want. So if you want those finger bones, things like that. And then we want to match it up just like we did with the quick rig. The only problem is, since this does have a skeletal system already built to it, we do need to adjust it in a little bit more of a certain order. So in this case, we always start at our root joint. The root joint is where all the other joints spur out of it, and it's always in the hips area. So after we do that, we move on to the next area. In this case, I'll just lower these. Oops. And all I'm going to do is adjust these as if I would normally. We don't have, well, we do have the flipping portion of it, so actually I'll probably just use that now. But you do have to go through this chain, for example. So if I lower this, actually let me raise this one, put that there. And we'll lower this one. Then we can lower this. Bring this over here. And you have to work through the chain. So starting from the inside out, And the reason why I'm doing that is because everything is parented together. So whatever I move, if I wanted to, let's just say, move this part, it would only move that section. But let's just say if the hand was over here and I moved this right afterward, it's going to move that hand with it. So very important to kind of work your way out. So this I'll put at the top of my head, for example. This one will go right there. So as you can see, I shouldn't have done that. I should have done the neck first. Let's lower this back down. That looks good. That looks good. That looks pretty good. So now what I'll do is I'll just select all the joints that I moved around and then mirror them over. Just like that. Ooh, something went weird over here. Let's see what that is. Oh, for some reason it gave me my toe. Let's get rid of that toe. There we go. So that works that way. And we'll bring him inside the body. Just like that. And normally I would go in, like from the top view, for example, and do those other adjustments. So in this case, I will move him again. And I'll just work my way down the chain again. Just like that. Let's carry those over again. That looks pretty good. So, now that we have that, we could go into the definition, and let's just say I double click into these areas. This will give me a quick setup to get to the control for that character. So if I click on this area right here, it will select that portion of the body. I can even go into the hands, and it just pretty much allows me to select what joints I want to work with. So let's go back up. And it's just a good way of working with your character. So the next thing we could do is we could add controls to it, but you do have to make those on your own, which I will go into when we start working with manual rigging, which will be right after this. So after that, I just gotta go select the rig and the skin, bind skin. And once it does that, it's all rigged. And if I had controls on it, I would use the controls, but for this, we're just going to use the joints themselves. But as you see, there is still a little deformation, just like it was working with in the quick rig. So we will have to paint weight that, which again I will show in a later video. But that's pretty much all there is to using the human IK. There is a way of kind of using the human IK with the quick rig in order to like add certain appendages like the hands, things like that. But that's a bit advanced for what I'm trying to show in this. What's great about having this quick rig set up, so now he's all added, I could put in different animations. So like let's just say I went to, where is it? Not you. Let's just delete him. Essentially, like this source area is where you could put in animation. So for example, if I was able to get into it, let me see. Where are you? Let me turn this off. And let's just say I put in an animation example. So here's a rigged character with some animation attached to it. If I hit play, it'll go through it. Let me add more frames so you could actually see more of this. So it's just this character fighting around. If we wanted to, I could take the information from this character and add it to this rig by going through the source and clicking on dummy fight. And if I go from the beginning and press play, it will bring that over. So let me change this to character 1, is it? Or is it character 2? Let's see. Doesn't seem to want to work right now. But we could attach it to the character if we wanted to. But that's pretty much all there is to it. See you in the next video.